Go ahead, Kelly.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelly McAdoo. I'm the city manager for the City of Hayward. I want to welcome everyone this evening. We'll give everyone a couple minutes to get logged on, and then our city clerk, Miriam Lenz, will go through the logistics for this evening and also explain how the Zoom, we will have a Spanish interpreter for the Zoom call this evening, and she will explain how that interpretation will work. And it looks like we're good to go. So Miriam, if you would like to talk about the logistics for the Zoom call, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. Good evening. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I think that will help us. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. So first of all, welcome. Bienvenidos. Good evening. This meeting is being webcast on TV channel 15 and live stream on the city's YouTube channel. We are providing a Spanish interpretation this evening. Community members wishing to join the meeting via Zoom can follow the information displayed on the screen right now. As I mentioned, we are providing Spanish interpretation, so you will need to select English or Spanish once we turn the service on. And now I'm going to go to Spanish. Miembros de nuestra comunidad que deseen unirse a la reunión a través de Zoom pueden seguir la información que se muestra en la pantalla ahora mismo. Estamos brindando interpretación en español, por lo cual deberá seleccionar inglés o español una vez que activemos el servicio. Right, and now I'm going to turn to English. Here we go. Community members participating by Zoom and wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature. Members participating via teleconference and wishing to speak should press star 9. And as you could see, we are showing the information on the screen. We request that speakers mute all other audio before speaking. Ahora en español, miembros de la comunidad que participan por Zoom y deseen hablar deben usar la función levantar la mano. Miembros que participen por teleconferencia y deseen hablar deben presionar estrella número 1. Les pedimos que silencien otros dispositivos antes de hablar para que no haya interferencia de audio. Right. Okay. And as I mentioned before, we are providing Spanish interpretation. So once I turn this service on, you will need to select either English or Spanish. All panelists and attendees must select English or Spanish. The default in Zoom is off, so you need to do this before. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat the information in Spanish. Todas las personas que están reunidas tendrán que presionar español para escuchar la información en español, si están ya en la reunión vía Zoom. Si van a llamar, tenemos una línea de teléfono habilitada para aquellos que quieran unirse en español. Y el teléfono está en la pantalla, el 727-731-1872. La intérprete esta noche es Margarita Quesada, a quien agradecemos por su asistencia. Right. Okay, so thank you very much again. I'm now going to stop sharing, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the interpretation service. So remember, select English or Spanish. Here we go. All right, Kelly, now back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miriam. I'm happy to be here this evening with my colleagues, HUSD General Manager Jim Wheeler and the Hayward Unified School District Superintendent Matt Wayne. I'm going to just make some opening comments and then give them an opportunity to say some words as well. I just wanted to thank everyone for being here. We have a good attendee list this evening, so that's fantastic. And obviously, we're here to talk about the safety and health of our youth in our community that we serve through the City of Hayward, through the Hayward Area Recreation and Park District, and through the Hayward Unified School District. Obviously, it's not just students and youth in the city limits of Hayward, but we also have some unincorporated areas that these districts and the school districts serve as well. So a really important topic. And unfortunately, we've had a couple of incidents in our community that have raised just some concerns and awareness about the safety of our children and our young people. And so wanted to hear from our community about these topics and to really just get some feedback if there's, ideas, solutions, suggestions, ways that we as public agencies can better support our young people, especially given the last 2 years of the COVID pandemic. And obviously, the two incidents that I was referring to was the arrest of a Hayward library employee on suspicion of child abuse and the murder of 8-year-old Sophia Mason, who did for a period of time attend Hayward Unified Schools and live with family in Hayward. I know there's been other incidents in our community relating to the safety of our youth, but those were the two incidents recently that prompted this meeting this evening. So we're here to listen. This is primarily a meeting for us to hear from the community. As you can see, we don't have our elected officials here on the panel with us, but they are watching and in attendance. And I wanted to just acknowledge the Hayward City Council members who are here that I can see on the attendee list. We have Mayor Barbara Halliday and council members Angela Andrews, Elisa Marquez, Mark Salinas, Francisco Zermeño, and Sarah Lamnin, and I want to thank them for their attention to this important topic and being here to hear from the community as well. We will, as I talked about, just hear from the community today. And then the intent is to have a follow-up discussion with our elected officials that serve on the Hayward Local Agencies Committee. And the Hayward Local Agencies Committee is comprised of elected officials from the school district, from HUSD, and from the city who work together on these joint issues. And so our next meeting on that is on Thursday, May 12th. We'll provide more details about that meeting at the end of today's conversation, and we'll go from there. And so I wanted to ask, at this point, so I'm going to let our superintendent and HUSD general manager say a couple words and introduce their electeds that are listening in. But so to help us with time management this evening, we do have quite a few participants. If you would like to make a public comment this evening at any point, or think you might want to make one, if you could raise your hand so that we could just determine how many people are intending to make comments so that we can then make sure that we give people time this evening enough time to make comments this evening and have enough time management. So go ahead and on the Zoom platform, raise your hand if you can. That will help us manage the time, make sure that as many people as possible have an opportunity to speak this evening. And with that, I am going to turn it over to our HUSD General Manager, Jim Wheeler, to make some introductory comments as well.
Thank you, City Manager McAdoo. We're very happy to be here tonight to participate in this critical conversation with the community. Part of the mission of the Hayward Area Recreation and Park District, of course, is to promote health, wellness, learning, and fun. So much of that centers around the youth in our community. So having the opportunity to listen and to reaffirm our commitment to the safety of our children, we really appreciate this opportunity. Tonight in attendance, aside from much of my staff that works with youth, and I'm so glad to see you here tonight. Thank you, staff, from the Recreation Division, as well as all of our department heads. I would like to introduce our board president, Carol Pereira, our board vice president, Rick Hatcher, our board secretary, Paul Hodges, Director Peter Rosen and Director Lou Andrade, thank you for taking your time to listen and formulate what we will be discussing at HLAC on May 12th. So thank you. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Superintendent Wayne.
Thank you, Jim and Kelly, and good evening, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and listen. I mean, the past 2 years, as we know, have been incredibly challenging for our society, our community, and in our schools. And we have worked incredibly hard to keep our students safe and healthy. But in spite of all those efforts, we know it's been difficult for students and youth in our community. And again, we know there have been recent incidents that highlight the need to make sure we're all working together to keep our young people safe. And so appreciate the collaboration with the board and HUSD to have this forum, and really do want to listen. While there's a lot we could share about what we've done, what's happened, this is a time to hear from you all. And I know just like the City Council and the HUSD board, our Board of Trustees are eager to hear what you have to share on this topic. And I just want to welcome here, we have our whole board. Board President, Dr. April Akenda is here, our Vice President, Peter Buffetti, our Board Clerk, Gabe Chaparro, and Trustees, Sarah Prada and Ken Rowden. So they'll be listening. And as Kelly shared, that we will be discussing this in a couple weeks at our HLAC meeting.
Great. Thank you both for being here this evening. And again, also to all of our electeds for listening in on this important conversation. I appreciate that. And as I had mentioned previously, the intent is to hear from the community. So we won't be having elected officials speak this evening, but we will be doing follow-up conversations from the topics we hear this evening after this meeting with each of our elected boards and with the Hayward Local Agencies Committee. So I just wanted to just make sure that everyone was aware of that and knew that was what we were planning this evening. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and get started with our speakers. Again, if you are intending to speak right now, we don't have that many hands raised, so we'll go ahead and keep the timer at 3 minutes per speaker, just so we can manage the time on this meeting. If people don't end up speaking, we have some time left. We may be able to circle back with some secondary comments, but we'll see how we manage through the meeting. And again, looking forward to hearing from everyone. Miriam, do you want to promote people to allow people to speak, or did you want me to do that? How do we want to do that?
I'll be happy to allow them to speak if you call on them, Kelly.
Perfect. So the first hand raised that I see is Elena Lepe. So we'll let her speak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elena Lepe. I work in the community. Thank you for this space. Finally, it's very concerned. Listen, they studied the last couple of weeks. So for me, the community, I am concerned because what is happening. But I think this is more important thing is alert to adopt strictly measures that will be the city level and also implement in all city Hayward district, including the district. I think it's important. A lot of children, the students inside. Since they're unemployed, we have a long time working in certain areas. It's important to reinforce the background individually and monitors, especially in district. And different areas in districts and the others size, sure. So every size is important for me. Reinforces the safety. Individual, I think is a good idea. The background every 3 years or every 5 years, monitors, and especially in district for the signing the people, prohibit take the drugs in size is important. So this is one alert for everyone. They finally need care the more students, especially in the district, the Hayward and the Hayward. I love Hayward for this part is broken my heart. But then finally is a start for the security and safety for the children. So thank you for this space.
Thank you, Ms. Lepe. Appreciate your comments. And again, if it comes up, if specific questions are asked during this evening, we'll be taking notes on those questions. If we have time at the end and have the ability to answer them here, we'll try to do that if it's a very specific question about a policy or a process. But for the most part, we won't be responding to specific comments as they are raised. So our next speaker is Giovanni Coleman.
Good evening, everyone. I speak as both an educator and a parent in the Hayward Unified School District and a proud Made in Hayward community member. I speak from a personal place, having lost a student in a previous district. And so having read, seen, experienced the recent losses of students from Hayward is troubling to me. And troubling for a few reasons. One is, I think our goal is to prevent as much trauma as possible for our students through proactive actions. And so we always kind of look in hindsight and say, what more could we have done? I'd like us to use this as an opportunity to hopefully learn and grow from. One of my recommendations is to look at community partnerships to provide possibly weekly art preps for all elementary students in schools. One reason for this is that art is known to support the health and well-being of students with emotional regulation, expression, to help students process trauma, and to also increase attendance and engagement in their academic subject areas and core curriculum. I think the smaller class sizes would also help benefit with building student and family relationships. I also believe that we need to increase access to social workers, counselors, therapists before and after school programs, summer programs for students. One thing that I'm noticing as a teacher, so from my teacher perspective, is that our attendance needs to improve. I have students who have missed close to 70, 80% of the school year. And to me, that is worrisome, because the questions start to arise: where are the students when they're not in school? Who is supporting the students at home? Do they have access to food? What does the home look like? So that would involve home visits and social workers that continue to follow the students on through up elementary, middle school, high school. So I'm hoping that this meeting will lead to some action, to some changes to help benefit our students and families in Hayward. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments and suggestions. Next, we have Mrs. Regina V. Brooks Day.
Hello, my name is Regina Brooks Day, and I'm an educator in the Oakland Unified School District. I've also taught in the Hayward Unified School District, and it really hurts my heart to hear of a lot of the things that have been happening in the community. I also have been living 25 years in Hayward Unified School District. I've also had two lovely teachers come through Martin Luther King Middle School, and they both graduated at Mount Eden High School. One was middle school at Ochoa, and the school districts were lovely. They serviced my kids very well. We've spent a lot of time in the Hayward area recreation, and we also spent time in Emeryville Unified School District our earlier years. But what I think needs to happen is, I've been in Oakland for almost 20 years after I left out of Hayward. And we have summer school every year for our students. So I'm teaching summer school for at least about 15 years. And our student has a small 4-week program. And it includes all of our services. It includes the psychologists. It includes our paraeducators. And we also have a program that is a link to the after-school programs. We also have our after-school program. We really need to make sure we have safe environments and things for our students in this community. After my students graduated from out of the Hayward Unified School District, I went back into Oakland, mainly because I I am a product of the Oakland Unified School District, and I appreciate when students are in things that they need in the summer. So summer school is very important. Even though it's 4 weeks, Oakland opens up every school for every student for 4 weeks. We also have an after-school program, and there's also other recreational programs that are attached. So they're free of charge. And also, we got to make sure that we connect with our families. As a teacher in the summer for 4 weeks, my job is to connect with parents all day and do home visits. I do home visits to get the relationship with the students and the parents, because I can't teach them if I don't know what's going on at home. Okay, so I think with Hayward Unified School District, and I know when my son was in middle school, he was not able to do summer school. They had a certain students that go to summer school that were not doing well. But in our district, everybody can go to summer school. There's also science camps. We have to keep our kids busy and focused, because I know that it is a hard job for some parents. Some days, actually, I'm in after school. I've done 18 years of after school program at Oakland Unified School District. I do time where I do reading intervention. I also do art clubs with students, book clubs. I get very active with the students because they need that support because they don't get it at home. I also am paid at my school site to do extended work with students that don't come to school because we do have attendance problems. So I think we need to work on doing a lot in Hayward to do the same thing.
Thank you so much. Your time is up right now, but if we have time and you have additional comments, that we may be able to circle back. Thank you so much for your comment.
Thank you too.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have Jesse Gunn.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Apologies in advance if my dog freaks out here because he's kind of in a mood at the moment. So I wanted to call. I'm a product of Hayward Schools. Currently a teacher, and I also have 2 students that attend Hayward Schools. So I can approach this from several different ways looking at it. I will say when children are going through trauma, when there's something happening with them, I could just say from my own experience of when I was a kid, it's not in a vacuum. There's things going on, there's signs, there's patterns, there's behavior, people change and there's clues to look for. But unfortunately, I feel like we don't have adequate ways of addressing timely enough students that we need to all at once. I am a big fan of dreaming big, dream bigger than possible, and then maybe we'll get close. I think that we should build a strong enough system where we can look after and look into and talk to and build relationships with every single student in the district, in our city, that is going to all of these sorts of I just think it's not impossible, that we can have enough social workers that we can spend some time getting to know everybody. If that means we need smaller schools to do it, then great. If that means we need smaller class sizes, great. I just feel like there's enough. It's a problem if one student is harmed because we didn't notice, because we look the other way. We didn't ask the questions. We didn't have time or capacity or money or manpower or whatever it is to address that. And I think that there are definitely things that we should look into changing as far as policy, as far as funding, as far as just our overall approach. I also want to say, just for recent times, we're coming out of a pandemic and there's probably so much trauma that we don't even know about. And now is the best time for us to reinvent what normal looks like in our schools. So that's what I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for your comments. Next up, we have C. Jordan.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go for it.
I would just like to speak out of my own experience. I'm a mother of a child here in Hayward School District, and yesterday he was bullied to the point of being assaulted. And he was supposed to be safe at school. He's a special needs child. And he was in a mainstream 8th grade group. And December, we emailed about the bullying that was going on to him. And nothing was done. Nothing was done to keep him safe then. So yesterday he was bullied again and an ambulance was called. I had the police at my house. I removed him from school indefinitely now until they tell me what the disciplinary action was on the child that attacked him. And they won't tell me. They won't let me see the surveillance tape. They won't let me know his ethnicity, because if the tables were turned and I feel my son he's white, and it was a child of color that was being attacked who was disabled, this would be all over the media. This would be all over the media. And my son could possibly be in juvenile hall. Who knows? He's 14. But since it's the other way around, no one wants to tell me what ethnicity he is, because they're protecting him, because most of the staff at his school are of color. And I'm very upset about it. I'm not a personally discriminatory person normally, but this really upsetting to me that they're protecting him and not even letting me know who he is or his parents or see the tape or anything. And my son's not going back to this Ochoa school until I know what kind of disciplinary action is made upon the kid who attacked him. And I needed to bring this out into the open, or else I'm going to go to the media, because this is just ridiculous. I feel he's unsafe. I'm not letting him go back until something is done with this child other than being suspended for one day. My son has special needs, and they knew it before they attacked him. And they saw it on the video. And I'm very outraged. I want other people to be outraged. I want people to speak up. It's not right, and it shouldn't fly. And that's all I've got to say.
City Manager McAdoo, I know we're in the listening session, but when we hear about specific incidents, we definitely want to follow up. And so I don't know if we have a chat, but I'll just say our Director of Public Information is on this Zoom, and we review, it's an easy address, madeinhayward@husd.us. So if you just reach out to that email address, we'll keep an eye on it to make sure we follow up ASAP on this issue.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. We appreciate it. Okay, next up, I believe, is Carmen Gonzalez. I don't know. Carmen Gonzalez, are you able to unmute? Can't hear you yet.
Kelly, if you like, we could go to the next speaker. Then we come back.
That would be fine. The next speaker would be LaWanda Knox.
Thank you. Let's see here. So I just had a few notes. I agreed with the teacher before that talked about the summer as an opportunity for the students. I think that the summer opportunity for HUSD is an opportunity to think outside of the box in terms of offering services and STEAM related activities. And I agree, it should be open to all students, regardless of economic status and academic achievement. To focus on students that may have had issues, but I think all students coming out of this pandemic could benefit from summer activities, and including entrepreneurship. Those are the type of things that could be offered outside of the regular curriculum. So entrepreneurship, baking, sewing, agriculture, robotics, coding, things that would help students be ready for the real world, even talking about like the metaverse and just really preparing them for the future, I think is something that could be done in the summer easily. And I know that HARD already offers many of these programs because my children have the opportunity to take do some of this last summer. And it would be nice if for some families, who may not be able to afford hard programs to get a scholarship. The scholarships would be offered at a minimum. Is my time up?
We still have 1 minute left. 1 minute left.
Okay. Okay. And then also many programs that are popular with HARD, like the Sulphur Creek program that's offered during the summer, is usually booked. Like when you register at the minute that it is offered, it is already completely full, and you're put on the wait list if you're if you try to register same day that it opens on the minute, and you're still waitlisted for some of these programs that really help kids with, being with animals and nature. So anyway, it would be nice to like fix or open that up more so that kids can really have a chance to participate in these important programs that HARD is already offering. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback and suggestions. Much appreciated. I just want to apologize. Councilmember Aisha Wahab also joined the meeting and wasn't here right at the beginning when we did the introduction. So I just wanted to acknowledge that she is also here listening in this evening. Next up, we have Vanessa Russell, please.
Good evening. As was mentioned, my name is Vanessa Russell, and I am the founding executive director of Love Never Fails. I would like to advocate for the City of Hayward and Hayward Unified School District staff to receive human trafficking education so that all are equipped to respond to red flags that they may be observing in the community and in their students every day. Not only is education key, but also adequate responses for every scenario. Recently, as many of you know, Hayward lost a daughter, Sophia Mason, an 8-year-old child who was murdered by her mother, who was a survivor of human trafficking, and her pimp, Deontay Jackson, who is still at large. I would like to advocate for the development of a Safety of Sophia protocol, SOS protocol, that will outline an adequate response when a child is in the care of an individual that is experiencing human trafficking, especially when there is mental illness. We need to be prepared to provide housing when survivors and their children are homeless, food when they are hungry, tutoring, legal services and protections, and trauma-informed mental health services that include respite care for the children while their parents heal. And the goal of all of this would be to ensure that survivors and their children are provided proactive and life-saving services and ultimately a pathway to safety. Thank you so much. And I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Vanessa. And I know your organization has done a lot of really excellent work in the community and is a resource for many individuals who are facing these issues. So for anyone who's on the call who might know of someone who needs support or services, would just recommend reaching out to Vanessa and Love Never Fails. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have Ms. Milan.
Hi, thank you so much for putting this on. I know I speak for everyone in the community, our shared heartbreak with the story of Sophia. And, as a mandated reporter, when there's cases like this, that is our go-to. That's supposed to be our salvation. And it's very concerning that that she wasn't saved. I think we're talking about issues that have such a large spectrum from, this is such a wide variety of issues. What I can say with these groups that are here, as a parent in the district, I feel like there's opportunities available to our kids, but they are very difficult to access and they are far and few between. You need to be very knowledgeable, very skilled at navigating certain avenues that let you get your children into certain activities. As someone who has that privilege, it's still difficult. But for example, Hayward Unified, YEP, that obviously you've heard this a million times. This isn't new information, that there are far more families that need after school programming for their kids. And it fills up immediately. Of course, that it almost feels like we're just yelling in a garbage can and just hearing the echo. Speaking of garbage cans, Mr. Wheeler, it's like, I just, you look at cities around us and we go to parks and you look as far as you can see, there's not a garbage can to be found. And then people complain about trash. It's like, and HARD has amazing programming, but like the last caller or a previous caller said, the programs fill up immediately and they're so expensive. Working class folks cannot do it. I have to, I have a good salary and I have to, be mindful about, summer camps and don't get me started on swim lessons. I'm so glad my kids can swim now. That's a safety issue. It is so nearly impossible to get your kid to learn to swim through this Hayward. And I could go on and on. I know all these groups do amazing work. It's just, how can we expand it and make it more accessible to people?
Thank you, Ms. Milan, for your comments. Next up is Monica Hernandez.
Oh, yes, sorry, hi. This is the first time I come to one of these meetings, and actually it was at the last minute, but I wanted to be part of the community. I work as a public health nurse for San Mateo County, and we get a lot of classes, but one thing that I really, really, really would emphasize is the trauma-informed trainings for teachers. Because we talk about students, but we have to also train the teachers. Because if you don't train the teachers, how are they going to know? How are they going to see the signs? Because sometimes when a kid is bullying or acting up, it's a way of them asking for help. So how are they going to intervene if they're not trained for that? And the classes for trauma-informed trainings through Bruce Perry, they are absolutely wonderful. So I really recommend that if, it should be mandatory. I have said this for like over 10 years when I was taking these classes. They should make it mandatory for everybody that works with kids and for teachers. That's the only comment I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez, for your comments. Much appreciated. I believe Carmen Gonzalez spoke were we able to hear? I think Carmen Gonzalez was the speaker that couldn't unmute previously. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, maybe we'll try again. Carmen Gonzalez.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you now. Great.
Okay, sorry about that. I am a former early childhood educator who has worked with children of all ages since 1983. We need to help our overwhelmed parents and teachers prepare children for school/life. I had the opportunity to work at 2 apartment sites where I was able to give children the tools and resources they needed to become future successful students. Children who had the opportunity to learn to love to learn. We need after-school programs, safe havens, safe houses near home throughout the community, especially at apartment sites, a niche that needs to be addressed. This gives children somewhere to go, something to do, and someone to talk to. It would be a good idea to have the police make it a part of their routine to visit these safe havens so both children and police get to know each other, perhaps even intervene and make a difference in the lives of children. Please reevaluate your YEP program. It could benefit so many children instead of being an overwhelmed daycare. I am here to help so that no child struggles as I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for your comments. Are there other people who would like to make a comment? We're out of hands right now, but hopefully we have a lot of participants. Oh, great. Jay Sturholm, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Justin Sturholm. I'm the, president and founder of Hayward Youth Baseball. And been sitting down with my family and some people within my league and talking about how Little League and other recreational activities used to have really, really good partnerships with Hayward Unified. If you look at a lot of the old Little League fields, they were all built on school sites, or the school sites were built after the fields were actually there. Most of those, I mean, there used to be some MOU agreements back in the day where, those leagues would go out and they would facilitate the usage of those fields at no charge, and they would do all the work on the fields. That changed a while back. I haven't spoken with anybody at HUSD recently with that, so I don't know if that's changed again. Same thing with the Park District. I've been traveling to a lot of places, watching a lot of baseball in the last year. We took a team down to Hanford, California for a regional. I just came back from Oregon and drove through Medford and playing out in Tracy and Tri-Valley. And if you look at the conditions of their ball fields compared to what we offer in our city, and that includes both the high school and the recreation department, it's extremely subpar. Tennyson Park in particular is not a very good playing surface. My league used it for several years of the last 10 years. Somebody finally did come out and do some repair to the mound, which was something I actually asked about literally years ago. And the fact that they charge these other, whether it's adult or youth recreational groups, to these fees to go out and use playing surfaces that in some indications may or may not be safe. The off-season upkeep, it seems like, when we do rent facilities, the upkeep tends to be like they come out and they'll spike the fields like prior to the start of the seasons, and not much gets done after that, unless you're playing over across from Pepsi where all the money comes in. So we get rained out, which is fine. I understand we don't want to have damage to the fields and the property and stuff like that. But at the same time, when we roll out there tomorrow, when it's dry, or this weekend, it's going to be us out there working on those fields and getting them playable. The Park District's doesn't come out and handle that stuff on a regular basis. It could be, and you guys are probably understaffed. I think, pretty much everybody in the world right now is still understaffed. But I'm running out of time here, and I did have an idea for a project. I've spoke to Councilman Zermanuel a little bit about it, and if you guys have time to come back around, I'd like to explain it a little more. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Maybe we'll have some time to circle back. I see Jordan has, I think, spoken once before. So before we recognize her again, I'd like to see if there's anyone else who hasn't spoken or hadn't had a chance to speak yet, to raise their hand and be recognized. Otherwise, I think we can circle back and have some additional comments if folks want to make a secondary comment. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Miriam, if you could recognize C. Jordan again, that would be great.
Okay. If there isn't too much, if there's enough time, you said you wouldn't be able to discuss policies like minority discrimination. You won't be able to discuss those policies, or you will at the end of the meeting?
We're not really going to discuss any or respond to anything unless it's a very specific question, like where we were able to provide you with an email address for follow-up on the specific incident. But we won't be responding to comments this evening. We're basically just taking those comments in, listening, and then the follow-up conversation will happen at as we mentioned, the Hayward Local Agencies Committee meeting on May 12th with our electeds at that meeting. So that will be the follow-up conversation. Great. Okay. And then I think Jay Sturholm, again, you can come back and tell us his idea since we have some time.
Hello again. James, sorry if it feels like I'm picking on you a little bit. One of the other things, that we were also talking about in regards to that is back when I first started, I've been coaching since I was 19. I'm 42 now. And when I first started coaching with Little League, The park district had some things in effect where we could offset our prices for, doing the daily maintenance and stuff on the fields and stuff like that. I don't know if that's something that you guys could maybe potentially revisit. I know that that got eliminated probably 10, 12 years ago. You may or may not have been around when that happened, but just that was a thing that used to be. So my idea is finding a use for the old Kaiser site, something that could have potential long-term benefits to the community, something other than housing. And just because I'm so involved with baseball, I believe that we could put a small youth 12 and under, which would accommodate both softball and youth baseball facility there at that location. I'm not sure how it would work out. Me personally, I would love the opportunity to be able to run that. But ideally it would be something that would be free for our recreational groups, allowing the high school teams to come over and play their softball home games there, because they're, they can practice on their fields, but their fields are subpar also. Most of the baseball fields and softball fields that have been upgraded within the last, say, 10 years have been done by the Oakland A's, not the respective groups that are in charge. Be it Cannery Park was revamped by the Oakland A's, Hayward High, Tennyson High School, Sorensdale Park. There's something else slipping my mind at the moment. And I just think that'd be a great opportunity for that. It's a facility that could be, used for travel ball tournaments to bring people in, to our community, because we are a bit of a, food desert. People can drive through and eat, but don't necessarily stay to do much else. We don't have a lot of attractions here other than some regional park stuff, and Sulphur Creek, things like that are great, but we don't have anything big and fancy to attract people. And I think that's an opportunity that could be there. And if Kaiser's not on board, there's a big swath of land over there behind the airport now that's probably available to do some stuff with. And thank you for your time again.
Thank you for those comments. Next up, we'll have Jade L.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Jade, and I am a project manager or the project director with BASTA, Bay Area Strength Through Activism. But as much as I would like to share about my project, I think there's a couple of things that I'd like to address. Today is one, I was really hoping to hop on this call and hear youth speak and hear from youth. And I think we all kind of would have liked to hear what youth in Hayward would like to see in their community. And I am really appreciative that we get to see educators. And I, am speaking as an adult that gets to work with youth and have had the opportunity to work with youth at Bret Harte this week. And I just want to share, I've actually led an activity with some middle schoolers and directly asked them, what are the changes that you would like to see in Hayward? What are things that you think can make Hayward better? And for majority of them, they said, I need things to do. I need things to do that are free. I need things to do on Friday nights, on the weekends, that don't cost my parents much, that I can go and we don't have to drive all the way to Dublin for Dave & Buster's. There can be cheap carnivals. I know we just had a carnival, but I think that comes like once or twice a year. But even with that, we all know that carnivals are scams and they cost a lot. Is there something that can be hosted at the school sites or in the parking lots of areas where, it's just kind of fun that maybe the city can rent a jumper or like a rock climbing thing, or have like kind of an open mic stage where they're just like, hey, if you want to come sing, or if you want to read a poem, or if you just want to hang out in an area where your parents think that you're going to be safe, we're going to have this open, and it's going to be at your school campus. So it's with either adults, with the city, and it's with people that you can trust. And that came in a lot responses when we were talking to youth. Another thing could be like, we could use another skate park. I'm not aware of a lot of parks that have lights at night with facilities. I know some of the tennis courts, there's only a handful of tennis courts, but besides that, I don't know of a lot of basketball courts that have lights. I don't know, the skate park on Tennyson does not have any lights. There's not a lot of activities in Hayward where youth can be active and be with each other at night that are free and are deemed as a safe space. And I can let you know right now, that is something that youth would like to do and would like to have. And just kind of also thinking about transportation, like how can youth also get around without having to take the bus or BART? I know Oakland has those bikes and stuff, which has to charge, but if they have a student ID, can they use it for 20 minutes and get to the library from their school or something like that? So thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments, Jade. And I did want to mention, we did invite, we have a youth commission that serves the city of Hayward that is staffed by our 3 agencies. We did invite those members to attend this meeting this evening. I'm not sure if any of them are here or want to make any comments, but absolutely would love to hear from youth voices if they are on this call. So thank you for that feedback. Anyone else who would like to make a comment this evening? I'll give folks a minute or two. Okay, yeah, we have Shireen Zanizer. I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I would just like to know if there's a system put in place where if students at, let's say, the elementary school level, I'm a teacher here in Hayward, say that at an elementary school, they have experienced some sort of trauma and it's not necessarily taken care of, but they come to middle school with it. Is there a system that lets us know, like if there's like certain kids that we maybe need to look out for, or look for certain things? I'll give you a specific incident. So when Burbank had this slavery game thing, debacle, whatever, when that happened there, those kids come to middle school. We don't know anything about what happened when, African Americans were being chased around by kids with ropes in their hands at lunchtime or whatever the case may be. But these kids come to middle school and then they're traumatized by this. And then, maybe somebody says, a derogatory word to them, calls them a derogatory name. And then they decide, they've had enough. And then they fight back and then they get in trouble. But they were traumatized from what happened to them in elementary school. And we just don't know anything about it until something has already happened. So is there some sort of system that can alert us, like, these kids went through this? Because obviously not everything, but that is something that's outrageous. So I would like somehow for them to be some system that lets us know ahead of time if that's possible. I know there's privacy things and this and that, but if it's going to affect how they learn as they get older, and, then I think something needs to be done about that.
Thank you for your comments and suggestions. And I think those are things that we can consider when we bring back the conversation at the local agencies meeting in a couple of weeks. I'd seen another hand. If you're calling by phone, just a reminder, you can hit *9 if you'd like to raise your hand and speak, if you're calling in by phone versus in the Zoom app. Okay, great. It looks like a phone number that ends in 219. It's a 510 number. And then to unmute your phone, you'll have to hit *6.
Hi, my name's Joan Ulig. I'm a longtime resident here in Hayward, raised both my boys in Hayward schools. My one complaint that I have is I just found out about this meeting at like 5:20 today. There's really poor advertising about things like this that I think if more people were aware of it, you'd get more participation. I don't even remember where I saw it, but I was like, wow, this is an important meeting. And yeah, that's just pretty much my comment.
Thank you for that comment. And I would also, just as a side note, encourage, I know the city has a e-newsletter called The Stack where you can sign up. We have a distribution list of about 60,000 email addresses. So if people are looking for timely information about city events and other events, and I'm sure the school district and HUSD also have similar notification systems. So I'll just encourage signing up so that you can make sure to get information about meetings and other events going on in the city. Next phone number it's a 415 number and it ends in 361. And we'll allow that individual to speak. And again, *6 to unmute.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. Okay. Boy. Okay. Hi. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead and make your comments.
Okay. I'm sorry. Hi. My name is Manny Flores. I'm a paraeducator for the school district. I work at the MLK, the middle school. And I tell you, I just want to start off with the great staff there, Principal Mr. Franco, and the vice principal. Man, it's hard. They got a tough job, and I know situations that we do our best, and it's just it's hard. It's tough, and with the attendance, we lose them, and some come back, but it's difficult. But we do our best, and to help them to reach out. One comment your speaker had, and I really liked, and I think it's a great idea, is a home visit. And I'm all for that, because if you get these parents that come to the school, they think they're coming to Big Brother, but if going to their house, to their environment, to where they live, it could be a different situation. And that's a great idea. Make them feel more comfortable, and they won't have to be rushing to come here. They go to home, and we give them time to settle. Then we meet, and I think it's something really we should consider. And I'm definitely all for that. I think we could have some success with that. And but it's tough. But no one said this was going to be easy. We do our best. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. Appreciate the comments. Looks like we have Ilsa. Ilsa in parentheses Basta.
Good afternoon. Thank you for hosting this meeting. My name is Ilse. I also work with Basta. I work with Gabe, and I was also at the school site earlier this week. And I just wanted to second the notion of having more activities for youth to have in their community, and maybe having these type of meetings at their schools, because I know that what they're especially for that are in high school and middle school, they have a lot of responsibility, and I think bring a space where they can be what it is they want to see, and changes they would like to see in Hayward, their own safety. I know from the activities, I also did them as well. They also, more events, but they're also, middle schoolers are also very about homelessness in their community, having a cleaner herd, and I think taking into consideration their perspective and how much they care Hayward being a better place and a safer place. I think it will be very beneficial for them for these spaces to be more accessible to them. And I think it is great that Youth Commission, we work with some of those youth as well. And we know that that's such a small fragment of the impact that you have on their. And that's all I have for today. Thank you again. And I'm sorry to the people who have had traumatic experience with their children. And I hope that there's a solution to this, or at least more resources that will help support you.
Thank you, Ilsa, for your comments. Very much appreciated. Next up, we have Stephanie.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. My name's Stephanie Drago. I'm the program coordinator. I work with East Bay Agency for Children, and I coordinate the Family Resource Center. And we work closely with HUSD and Hayward families, Alameda County as well, have various partnerships to serve Hayward families. And I do want to just comment on some things that are working that I would also like to see more investment in, which would be like the cost specialist at our site, which is the coordination of service team, the family engagement specialist, the child welfare and attendance department, and all of the CBOs who work in our areas to provide unique services to our families and try to really just support them. And so I think also what works is Alameda County's involvement and investment into these services. And for example, like the Father Core initiatives where we try to include more fathers and just really just take a unique approach to the connection between the schools and nonprofits in our areas who are working directly with families, have caseloads, and just to continue to invest in those departments and invest in those people who have that direct connection. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Stephanie. Next, who hasn't spoken yet, I believe, is Marcia Lopez.
Buenas tardes.
Hola.
Le quiero pasar la palabra a mi esposo Remberto López, que es su teléfono, el mío que agarró primero la palabra, es que él va a salir a trabajar.
Muy buenas noches.
Buenas noches, siga, por favor, con su comentario.
Bien, yo estoy bastante preocupado por el porcentaje bajísimo de alumnos aprendices de inglés. Vi en otra reunión, los porcentajes son realmente muy bajos, alarmante, triste cuando uno de los principales objetivos del distrito son nuestros aprendices de inglés, ¿no? Es muy lamentable. Sé que venimos de una pandemia, algo que fue planificado, algo que fue desgraciadamente un acto genocida para el mundo entero, no solamente para nosotros, y los resultados son funestos, ¿no? Quisiera saber el distrito qué está haciendo, porque antes, durante ni después se escuchó un plan adecuado del distrito para nuestros jóvenes. Y quisiera saber cuál es el plan inmediato para tratar de subir este nivel de aprendizaje de nuestros aprendices de inglés. Gracias.
Gracias por sus comentarios. Just seeing, we'll go back to, I guess we have a couple people who would like to speak a second time. Oh, Ms. Quesada. Yes. Perfect, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Quesada. I'm going to go ahead and recognize Jesse Gunn for a second comment.
Hello. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak again. I'll be really quick. I was just thinking on the topic of engaging with youth feedback in this. We know where our students are most of the time. They're in school, or they're at libraries, they're at parks. They're not in meetings on Zoom at 5:30 in the evening. So if we do want to get the feedback from students, that would be where I would do it. Perhaps a second meeting where we can get a random sample of students from schools or parks or libraries or wherever, just to engage with them and get feedback. I was also spending the day thinking about like how we can include not just the high achieving students, because, you know, Youth Commission, for example, I mean, it's excellent. All these college bound students, 4.0 students who are stepping up into a place of leadership. But I would like to, you know, hear back from my student who's an English language learner who is doing really well in school this year, not 4.0, but he also works 30 hours a week and sometimes can't come into school because he gets called into a shift. And so I'd like to hear from that type of student's perspective and people that are going through, you know, some trouble. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse. Okay, any other comments? Great. I'm going to go ahead and I think turn it over to the superintendent. Mrs. Regina Brooks, did you have a second comment that you'd like to make? We can allow her to speak, Miriam.
I'm sorry, Kelly, we're having issues. In order for her to speak, I need to make her a panelist. Is that okay?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll be quick. I think in order for us to make sure that the youth are involved in what we're talking about, is this need to be taken to the school. This needs to be a conversation among all schools in the Hayward Unified School District, because we need to be aware of, you know, in the school of what it is that the students want. And also just looking at our community, some things as an adult, we need to have in our communities. I look at like skating rinks. Those are really good where you bring families together. I hated that the one in Milpitas is closed up. That was a very good function. There's also pop-up skating rinks. So this may be something that the city could look at and bring back a few traditional things, because there really isn't anything for students to really do, because Hayward Area Recreation, a lot of that stuff they have to pay for, and a lot of parents don't have money to pay for that. So we need to try to bring back some things that will be of interest to the community and keep our kids safe. You know, we have after schools, but some after schools are just places where they're being babysat and they're not learning anything. So that's why I say when the schools are open and it's summer and they got a 4-week summer session program going, they have their teachers there. You can connect and relate to those students and teach them stuff, and then also run after school program inside of your school site. So we have a good relationship with every parent. So I can contact a parent. They have no problem with what I tell them what their kid needs to do. There's also a need for parent education classes. We have to educate our parents on how to work successfully with their child. I find myself doing workshops within the after school program, teaching them how to teach their child, because nobody knows. When I was a college student, when I had a kid, I learned from professors on what the steps it takes to deal with a toddler, How do you do this? How do you help them with homework? And how do you work on the developmental stages that they go through? So it's not always, I'm mad at the child, I got to spank them. I talk to parents about how you need to work on being a parent and not a friend, and how that relationship goes. So we need parental education classes. We also need more social emotional learning in our classrooms. So that's about it. But I think we need to make every school involved in what we're talking about, because everybody is not on Zoom. And since we're coming back from the pandemic, I find more trauma with our babies. You know, it hurts my heart that I have to be I'm actually, as a teacher, I'm their mother, as I tell them. I'm also their nurse and whatever you call it until school lets out at 3.
Thank you for those additional comments. We're trying to let folks make a first or a second comment. I know some folks have been wanting to make a third comment, but I want to get through first and second comments first before we go back for thirds, just to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to speak. Any other comments? Okay, I know we have 2 hands raised, I think, that have spoken twice, but I want to make sure that if we have any last comments, maybe we'll allow for 1 minute for those individuals that have raised their hands for third comments, and then we'll do a quick wrap up. So we'll give 1 minute opportunity for comments. So C. Jordan, we'll go ahead and let you speak for a minute, and then I think we have Stephanie as well.
I want to reiterate the roller skating rink idea here in Hayward. We have the Toys R Us and the Kmart that's no use to anyone. It's a huge piece of property. And my son has a birthday coming up, and I'm wondering what the heck we're going to do that's interesting and fun for him and friends to do for his party. And there's nothing for us to do around here. And I love roller skating, and we have to go out of town to find a place for him to go. And that would be just a great idea, like we're doing with the Kmart and the Toys R Us. That's about it.
Thank you for that feedback. And then Stephanie, and we'll do one minute.
Hello again. My name's Stephanie. I'm the program coordinator for East Bay Agency for Children here at the Family Resource Center, also known as EBAC. And I just wanted to comment about things that are working, like the newcomer program here at HUSD and the collaboration of several CBOs in the area, nonprofits in the area that I work closely with, like Family Paths, Lincoln Kinship. And just, we have a lot of folks here working in our community, and to invest in them more, and to also create a space where maybe we can all gather together and to just build these stronger partnerships with our families and our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for providing those resources. Okay, I'm not seeing any additional hands raised. And I'm going to turn it over. I think the superintendent's going to just close us out tonight. And I want to just personally thank everyone for participating, for being a part of this conversation. Some really excellent ideas and thoughts. And I think definitely an opportunity for us to engage more with youth in this conversation as we go forward. But I'll let the superintendent go ahead and make some closing comments.
Thank you. And yes, first, thank you to everyone for being here, and appreciate being here with our HARD and city partners. And thanks, Miriam, for facilitating, and Margarita for translating. And, did really appreciate the opportunity to listen. So just to end, as City Manager McAdoo mentioned, we'll be talking on May 12th at HLAC, and share this feedback here. So just some themes we heard, definitely hear the need to have further conversations around the different opportunities for youth outside of school, after school, and summer, and how that can really be a key to their health and safety. And so we have a lot going on, but I know I heard some ideas of ways we can continue to strengthen our collaboration and expand opportunities. Also heard about, the need for access and make sure that, communication is expanded and strengthened so people have access to meetings like this and to all these opportunities. I think we'll have conversations about training and support for, staff, for community members, for parents about how to deal with, and how to support students to deal with trauma and, and different issues that have surfaced. And, and then also communication, both kind of among our agencies and within our agencies as well. And, and then really, appreciated hearing the community partners that are out there to who are helping, and learned about some new ones tonight who are wanting to help. And so, we took some notes on who they are. Also have notes on the, from like the Hayward staff and parents who raise issues, and questions of like, how do we communicate about student issues from elementary to middle school. We've really built up our system in the last couple of years, so we'll be able to follow up with them on that, and look forward to the conversation in the at HLAC and working with our partners. So thank you again all for being out. And then, just lastly, we'll share, definitely second the need for our youth voice. We have different ways we collect it. We've done some new and interesting surveys this year. So I'll share that at HLAC. We have the Youth Commission, and there's other ways. And so it'll be good to see, what exists, and then what else we could do to bring in the youth voice. Because I know we're all here for the kids, but definitely, in the district, that's why we're here. We're here to serve our students and their families. So I guess that's, we'll wish everybody a good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll get out the HLAC information too for people to join that.
Thanks, everyone.